In our last video, we went over the process of importing characters from Mixamo and applying those animations to our Manny character. So in this video, I want to quickly go over the process of using alternative characters. So if you're creating your own character or you found a character on the marketplace that you really like, I want to take a look at how we can use those in place of the Manny skeleton or retarget the animations between those. So right now in the project, let me go ahead and so this is the animation from Mixamo that we did in the last video. So it looks pretty good. I'm not seeing any weirdness on the hands or um, on the feet even. So looking good. Um, but let's take a look. I imported a couple of characters from the marketplace. So I have this adventures pack, this werewolf pack, and then a Murdoch character from Paragon. So the werewolf and the adventures pack, those are both permanently, or excuse me, those are both on the limited free items from the Pad Marketplace a couple of weeks ago. And then the Paragon Murdoch character, that's in the permanently free selection on the marketplace. So if you haven't already done this, make sure you go and get all the Paragon characters because they're permanently free, but who knows if that will be forever. Um, I have them all in here. This is my library, so all these characters here under Paragon from the game Paragon are free and available, and they work between up to UE 5.6. So definitely go and check those out. All right, so I'm gonna go through this process one more time just to showcase how to get the characters from the marketplace into your project. And actually, I think I already have this one, the one I have in mind, in my library. So let me see if I can find it real quick. I have, I'll just do it from the library. Um, yeah, so this mutant character, this is also a free asset. I'll click here to take me to the marketplace real quick, just so I can show that. Here we go. So this is, I believe this one is also permanently free, or at least free for the time being. So you can go into the marketplace and search for mutant. It doesn't show. Oops, it's gone. Let's see here. So typically in here, it'll show that it's rigged to the epic skeleton. I don't see that. Oh, I do see it here. Okay, so rigged to the epic skeleton for UE5. That's what we want. And I'll show you that here in a sec. Why we're looking for assets that have this. So I have that. Let me go ahead and just add that to my project as well, and I'll just so we have that example. Add a project. We'll do that. And while that's downloading, let's go ahead and take a look at some of these other characters. What we're going to do is we'll replace the Manny for our player character, and then also for the enemy AI. So let's start with the enemy AI let's do that one first. Um, go to edit and blueprint here, and I'm going to select this skeletal mesh. And the really cool thing, so we went through that process of retargeting animations from Mixamo. The Mixamo skeleton differs from the Epic skeleton, right? So we have a different naming convention for the bone hierarchy. The Mixamo skeleton doesn't have a root bone, so back in UE4 and even up to like 5.2 or so, that would cause an issue where you had to sometimes take that skeleton into Blender, add a root bone, and then export it and import it back into the engine. And then there was different things you had to do to really get the retargeting to work smoothly. Now, like we saw in that short video, it's pretty seamless. There's not a whole lot of configuration you have to do with the auto-generated retargeting. So, but with that in mind, now that I think after 5.4, 5.3, 5.4, with the auto rigging, it also has the ability to identify skeletons that are similar to the similar or the same as the mannequin skeleton. So if you imported a bunch of different assets from different projects, they're all or examples, for example, they all have the Epic skeleton. What Unreal Engine will do is it'll identify those, and so if you click the drop down to replace your skeleton mesh, you'll see just a long list of assets that are rigged to the skeleton or to a very similar skeleton. And I say similar and because you'll see here in a sec, there's some cases where there might be a few differences. But I'm gonna look for, I'm gonna switch this to the one of the adventure characters. What is it called? Adventure. We want UE5. Let's do UE5 underscore adventure, maybe 4, I think is the one I had in mind when I was looking at it. Let's try this one. Yeah, okay. So I didn't have to, so if you notice, I didn't have to retarget anything. All I did was I identified a character that was rigged to the epic skeleton. Let's go ahead and take a look at that skeletal mesh real quick. So we see the skeleton tree here. This is for this custom character. Let's also bring up the skeleton for the mannequin. And I'm just gonna pull this out and we'll put it side by side so you can see what that looks like. Sort of. Okay, so as you can see, these are pretty much identical. There's not a lot different in here. If there are differences, they're sockets, which don't affect the actual skeleton itself or the bone hierarchy. And so that's what we want when you're looking on the marketplace, or if you are working specifically with an Unreal Engine workflow. You want to rig your character, your custom character, to the epic skeleton using this naming convention. Or you want to find an asset that is rigged to the epic skeleton. And as you see, the reason being it just makes the workflow super duper straightforward and easy. There's not a whole lot of extra work that you have to do. So I all I had to do there was go and change to this new character. Now, with that in mind, I was able to switch to this character, but if I did want to retarget, there's a couple of options. So we can do the retargeting flow. We can do what I just did, where I switch the character because it has the same skeleton. Or you can find this asset. Let me. I'll click on the skeleton mesh and then click the little folder with the search, the magnifying glass, and that'll take you to where that is in the content browser. So I'm gonna click on that guy. Um, right click. If you go to skeleton, you can assign a skeleton to the skeletal mesh. So if I click that, and then I'll just drag this over. Let's find, yeah, SK mannequin. So that's the one for our Manny character. Um, if you scroll through here, you see that all these bones are matching up. So from the currently selected and to our target, so the source and target, all the bones are matching. And so we don't need to go through this process of assigning the skeleton because it's already the same. So all we need to do is put the character in place or replace the skeletal mesh. However, in some cases, we have a character, and I'm going to compile and save this real quick. So there's our enemy character. Okay, let's just, oh, I need to fix something. Let's jump in here real quick. I'll fix that real quick. And something else I was working on. Let's nuke that for now. Okay, there we go. Let's do play editor. There we go. Okay, so animation is playing on this character, which is what we want. Now, if we had a character who was rigged to the epic skeleton for 99, or at least 99% of the bones are rigged to the epic skeleton, but we had some extra bones in the chain, we might have an issue with that assigning skeleton, or just applying the character directly to that to the or excuse me, replacing the skeletal mesh with that new skeletal mesh. So let's look at an example. This werewolf character. Let's just jump into. Actually, let's go to the mesh itself. We'll do the full one. Okay, so it might be a little hard to see here, but right here, here's an example. So um, on the epic skeleton, we have just the head, right? On this one, however, we also have a jaw, two jaw, or excuse me, one jawbone there. Um, and let's do this. You select this bones and all hierarchy. And I think you can even do bones, uh, bone names. Here we go. Okay, so it's kind of a lot, but you can see here. So we have our spine bones. Um, which this only has three spine bones. We'll see in a sec. We'll go back to the epic skeleton, but that has the new one, anyways, has five. UE4 skeleton, I think, has three, if I'm not mistaken. But you see here, so we have a neck, a head, and then we have two extra bones, or excuse me, one extra bone here, and then on the other side, coming from the pelvis, I believe, we also have the tailbones. So a couple of extra bones on this guy. Let's look at the mannequin real quick, and I'm gonna add the names back in as well here, like so. And yeah, so we have one, two, three, four, five spine bones, and then the clavicle, and then we have two neck bones, and then the head. So if we wanted to assign the skeleton here, let's see what happens. Let's go to assign skeleton. We'll find our SK mannequin again, and if I scroll through here now, you'll see that it shows a couple of those bones is missing. So the currently selected, which is our werewolf. On the target, there's on the new skeleton we want to assign to this guy, there's not these two bones here. And the same goes for the tail. So it won't allow us to assign the skeleton, so we'll get an error because these are missing on the skeleton we want to assign. Which means a we might be able to just assign the character. Um, let's see what that looks like. Maybe we can try that. Let's do custom character. Oops, I can't spell. There we go. Custom third person character is what we want. Okay, so let's search werewolf. And we'll do the same one. So the full one. That's what we'll do. Okay. So it does allow us to just replace the skeleton, right? Because those bones aren't. So there's a distinction that we need to make. If those bones are coming off of the end, so in the case of the head, we had two additional bones coming off of the end, as opposed to them being in between. So if they were, if we had the spine bone, and then um, right here between the neck and the head, we added those bones there, it would break the chain, and so it would no longer match the epic skeleton, right? So Unreal doesn't really like that. It's more okay to add additional bones than it is to break the chain or modify the chain itself. So in this case, it allows us to replace the character, but it will not allow us to assign the new skeleton. But what we can do is we can still retarget, right? And that works just fine, but we don't 100% need to. However, if you wanted to, use the face animations, you might still want to do this a different way. Um, okay, so we see that works. Um, in the case of this adventure character, it's rigged to the epic skeleton directly, and then the same goes for um, the mutant. Oh, he doesn't show up yet. I'm gonna have to restart my project here. Um, let me do that real quick. Let me save. Okay, let me relaunch the project here. And while that's loading, um, so Mixamo is what we talked about in that short video. You can put your characters into Mixamo and rig them and then apply new animations to them. Or you can use one of the existing characters and export animations and then do the retargeting in engine. Um, Additionally, there's other sources of free animations. So Mixamo's the animations are free, but that's not the only source. There obviously there's lots of paid sources out there. But if you were looking specifically at the Fab Marketplace, here these are a couple of assets that are permanently free that you can look at. So this mocap online free animation pack, you can search for this, and that one is available on the marketplace for free. It has a couple of useful animations, especially if you want to apply them to an NPC. So this one could come in handy. And then was it 5.2 or 5.3? When did this come out? I don't recall, but this was one of the example projects from Epic. But there's some really cool animations in this project that you can use. Um, so it's worth taking a look at. It also showcases some of the cool like retargeting capabilities and the IK rigs and things like that. So worth looking at. And then we also have like this is the original animation starter pack back from Unreal Engine 4. There's not as many animations in here, but there's a few basic ones, especially if you're making like a first person or third person shooter. So this one might be worth looking at as well. And then lastly, so this is the new content, like animation content example. This one combines a lot of those things together. So you get like hundreds of animations first off. Second off, they showcase a lot of like the cool capabilities. We probably won't go over it just yet, but they show you how you can do dynamic retargeting instead of having to use the retargeting process that we did with the Mixmo character. And then they show you they use all the characters, so they have the this character in here as well, Echo, I think her name is. And then this is the character from UEFN. So all they show how you can retarget the animations between these, even though the skeleton is slightly different between UE4 and UE5. Um, so worth looking at. This one's permanently free again, so a lot of really good animation, but the quality is great. So worth it for especially if you're just needing to pull a couple animations, or even if you want to just use this as a spring reward for your project. So okay, so with that in mind, let's jump back over to our project. Okay, let's see if our oh he didn't pop in. Where is he at? Maybe it's still processing. I thought it would be done by now. Oh, it says initializing. I probably should have checked that first. Okay. Well, really, I just wanted to show that this character is also rigged to the Epic Skeleton. Um, so I won't bother showing that now, but um, trust me, or you can take a look yourself and see how that works within your game. Um, but yeah, okay. So we looked at. Let me jump back to my other map real quick. All right, we replaced the enemy AI, and now we have the werewolf on the character. Let's see what that looks like real quick. There we go. And he crouches even, which is pretty cool, right? All the animations are retargeted or are working on this because the skeleton is similar. So we didn't have to go through and retarget anything. There we go. Jump animation. Did I even have the attack on there? No, I guess I didn't put an attack on there anymore. Right. Okay. So I just wanted to show those couple of options, and how you can apply the character. One last thing I guess we probably want to look at is the Paragon character. So let me jump in here real quick. Um, in some cases, you might see some weirdness. Actually, yeah, let's go into the third person character. Let's assign the Paragon character here. So search for Murdoch, and let's do this one. Okay. So if you look here, this is not what he should look like. Let's see what he actually looks like. This is what he actually looks like. You see, he has a head. Um, so the issue though is again the skeletons are very similar, but they're not exactly the same. This one is originally from Unreal Engine 4, or based off of the Unreal Engine 4 skeleton that has three spine bones, while Manny obviously has five. So this gets kind of squashed together if we just assign it directly. So we have two options, or a couple options. We can leave it like that, which is not obviously not ideal. Or we can do the retargeting, right? Um, and then we can what's the other option? Um, oh, we can do dynamic retargeting. That's the other option, which we won't. I'm not going to show how to do that here. But um, if you so in some cases, even if the character or the skeleton is similar, you might still have an issue, and so you'll end up having to do the retargeting anyways, which honestly is probably the better option. Just so you can especially if you're going to save the retargeting assets, you can reuse those and apply it to different cases and things. Um, so if I wanted to do that, let me let me browse to this guy, and I'm gonna just retarget the animations. Let's do it. Okay, retarget. Here we go. Okay, let's select our Murdoch skeleton, and let's just do the animation blueprint. I think that should also apply um, to the dependencies. So we have the crouch animation, et cetera, et cetera. So I think if we retarget this and rename it, we'll be able to just use that animation blueprint in place of this one, and then replace the character, and the animation should follow. So let's go ahead and first, actually, let me take the retargeting assets. Just gonna drop them here. Actually, I'm gonna drop them in the root just so that they're easy to find. Um, and then let's take a quick look at that. I'm gonna, close that. I'll drag the target over just a little bit, and then uncheck debug draw. And let's go ahead and let's hide the bones again. Oops. Let's do none, just so we can see. Okay, let's see what happens. Let's try to play an animation. There we go. Yeah, so that looks pretty good. It doesn't look like there's any issues. Um, if we had some extra animations, like things like animating the face or the hands, you might have some more issues, but it works really well on the rest of the body typically. So let's see, idle. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so one thing to note is when you're using the retargeting asset, um, you're going to be retargeting assets directly. So you'd have to go and recreate the animation blueprint and then import like add these to the animation blueprint. So in my opinion, if you're needing you want to keep things the same, you're planning on using the animation blueprint, I would say just do the right click on the animation blueprint and retarget from there, as opposed to using the retargeting asset. If you end up running into an issue with an animation, since you've exported the retargeting asset, you can go in and redo the retarget for that component and or re-export it and make some adjustments to the IK retargeter and things to fix those issues. So I'm going to retarget AVP Manny. I'm going to export animations. Let's drop it in here. And let me, let me create a new folder here. I'll just call it RTG animations. And we'll prefix it with RTG just so that I can tell the difference. And we'll export that. Okay. So we see we have all of the dependencies from our animation blueprint came over. And so those are going to be used inside of this animation blueprint asset. So now we have that, let's go back to our character. Let's switch over to using that animation blueprint, which I called RTG APP Manny, which I probably should have just renamed that altogether. But it's all right. There we go. But now look at that. That looks so much better. Let's hit compile. Let's save. Let's jump in. See what that looks like. Here we go. And he still has his weapon attached. That's actually part of the skeleton. We'll just ignore that though, because we're not using it. Okay, looks good though. All right, so that's that. I just wanted to show those couple of options or alternatives to Mixamo. So Mixamo again is a great tool, but it's not the only option out there. Especially they have a pretty vast like selection of animations, but there are other options. So look through Fab, look at the free assets, take a look at the Paragon characters, and see if those work better for your project. And we'll just stop there. Let me know if you have any questions, and we can follow up with an additional video.